All right, so we are live. I am sorry, I'm a bit disorganized. Um, Welcome to episode number 108 of the WMMA Scene Report weekly show where we go over everything going on within the world of the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. I don't have, there's no fights or anything to go over this week where we normally start with results. Oh, you know what? There was one. There was one result. Let me pull it up here real quick. 2 seconds. Or not. One second here. So over on the Contender Series, Jasmine Jasudavicius defeated Julia Palastri via decision in the third after 3 rounds. Jasudavicius climbed to 6-1. Palastri fell to 8-3. I haven't watched the fight yet, so couldn't really tell you how good it was or anything. But anyway, on to the news for this week, or last 2 weeks rather, which there wasn't a whole lot of news going on in the last 2 weeks. But first up, Fearless Woman MMA 8 goes down in Rosita, California sometime next month. They added a bantamweight bout, Tina Pettigrew versus Adelaida Guzman. Apparently, this is an all-women's promotion. I hadn't heard of it till now, and they're about to have their 8th event, so we'll have to check that one out. And then Bellator 267 goes down October 1st in London. They added a strawweight bout between Kiara Penko, coming in at 5-3, taking on Katarina Delizda, coming in at 5-2. So Penko is one of their European fighters that they bring in every once in a while to fight at strawweight for the Europe shows. She has some mixed results, but this Katarina Delizda, I don't know anything about her, so we'll have to see what she's about. Then UFC has a fight night scheduled for December 4th. They added a strawweight bout, Montserrat Conejo Ruiz taking on Mallory Martin. This was about, when I saw it was announced, I thought, man, that would actually be a really good Invicta main card fight. Take that as you will. And then AFL 25, that's Ansgar Fight League 25, goes down October 2nd in Barcelona, Spain. They added an atomweight title bout, Andrea Meneses taking on the champ Emily Mata. Mata last won that title about a year ago. AFL had their Valkyries event, which was an all-ladies event. I actually covered it. I think I covered that one live. I can't remember. So, first title defense for young Emily Mata. And then some unfortunate news. Jermaine, excuse me. Jermaine Durandamy is out of her title bout, or excuse me, is out of her main card bout versus Irene Aldana at UFC 268 due to an undisclosed injury. Currently, the UFC is seeking a replacement for Aldana. I actually talked about this on Tuesday night, trying to figure out who could possibly replace her on short notice. It's a very good question. And then Gamebred FC2, which is bare knuckle MMA, goes down on October 2nd. Event actually got pushed back about a month or half a month. It's supposed to go down, I think, this weekend or maybe last weekend. But it's going to go down October 2nd. As I said, it's bare knuckle MMA, just everything you expect from MMA except, just hand wraps. And they have 2 bouts. First up, a strawweight bout between Crystal Lawson and Andy Nguyen. Andy Nguyen's a pretty well-traveled vet. And then another strawweight bout. Isis Verbeek taking on Monica Medina. Verbeek, I recognize her from She fought once for Invicta, and then she fought a couple times for Icon. But Medina, I tried looking her up, and the only thing I could find was she has like one amateur bout and one pro MMA bout, and that was like 2 years ago. So, but we'll have to see. It's bare knuckle. It's on the BKFC app, and then Bellator 268 goes down October 16th. They added a flyweight bout between Sumiko Inaba and Randy Field. Looking forward to that one. Sumiko Inaba seems like a legitimate prospect in the flyweight division. And then the last bit of news here, LFA 115 goes down September 24th. That's next weekend. They added a strawweight bout. Catherine Paprocki coming in at 3-1, taking on Hillary Rose coming in at 5-3. So I'm a little familiar with both fighters. Hillary Rose, she's a Contender Series veteran and LFA veteran as well. Paprocki, she's fought once for Invicta, once or twice, a couple places, but really excited to see her again as well. You know, she won the Sparta Entertainment Queen of Sparta tournament to make her pro MMA debut. She had to win a boxing bout in the quarterfinals of the tournament, a Muay Thai bout in the semifinals, and then the final round was an MMA bout, and that was all in one night. So it was a very entertaining event. All right, so that's it for the news. We're going to keep moving this one along pretty fast here. So next up, we're going to the rankings update. And the only rankings updates for this week, because there weren't any major fights last weekend, was One Championship updated their rankings after their One Empower event last weekend or the weekend before last. And there's some curiosities here. Mostly the fact that Sahi Ham, who just beat Denise Zamboanga, is still at number 2. Whatever. Also curious is that I think they fixed this one, but they said Munpo only moved down 1 spot from 2 to 5. And I believe they fixed that now and put that it's 3 spots down. But then Ritu Fogat's up. She is now rated at number 4. Stamp moved from 4 to 3, and Aliona Rasuhina is now out of the rankings. So those are your rankings updates. Give me 1 second here. I want to adjust the lighting just a little bit here. By the way, the chat's open. If anyone is wondering, feel free to drop in, say hello. Let me know where you're from. But we're going to move on into the weekend preview here. This is going to be a short stream tonight. So first up, we're going to Combate Global tomorrow night on, was it Paramount Plus or Univision? Has 2 ladies bouts. First up, I have them backwards. All right, first up, at atomweight, Gloria Bravo Barrios taking on Orlando Galindo. Gloriosa coming in at 5-5. Galindo coming in at 1-0. So big experience factor here for Bravo. Let's see. I don't have any other stats for Galindo. Looks like Bravo Barrios is 35 years old and stands 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters tall. Who are her losses to? Okay. This is an easy pick here. We're going to go with Gloria Bravo to win this bout. I mean, why are they putting someone who's 5-5 up against someone who is just coming off her pro debut a month ago? I mean, okay, this is actually really the most interesting part. Galindo just fought a month ago. Bravo just fought about 2 weeks ago. So fairly quick turnaround for each fighter. But I'm going to go with experience here and go with Gloria Bravo to win this one. Oh, I forgot we're going backwards. Then up on the main card, we have a bantamweight bout. Maritza Sanchez taking on Elizabeth Schroeder. Both fighters coming in at 1-0. Both fighters coming in off of their first pro win. Let's see. Sanchez defeated Lucero Acosta via rear naked choke a year and a half ago. Before that, had a loss to Christina Pettigrew a year and 9 months ago. Schroeder coming in off of her first pro win in Combate 4 months ago over Bielka Soto. Before that, had a loss in some other promotion, like last year and a half ago. No age available for Sanchez. Schroeder is 32 years old. Looks like Schroeder will be 2 inches taller, 5 feet 9 inch, 175 centimeters in height to 5'7", 170 centimeters for Sanchez. And Sanchez has a listed reach of 72 inches, 183 centimeters, whereas I don't have a reach available for Schroeder. This could go either way. So I have no idea. I haven't seen either of these two fight. So I'm not even going to make a pick on this one. So that's Combate. That's tomorrow night on Paramount Plus or Univision. Then we go to Saturday. Has a Bellator card. Bellator 266. One ladies bout in the flyweight division. Alejandra Azul Lara taking on Deanna Vitamin D Bennett. Lara coming in at 9-4. Bennett coming in at 10-7-1. Both ladies coming in off of a loss. Lara to Kana Watanabe via split decision 5 months ago. Bennett via rear naked choke submission a year ago to Liz Carmouche. Now, Lara was coming off of a win before that loss over Vida Ortega, whereas Bennett is riding a 2-fight skid. Before losing to Carmouche, she had lost to Miranda Maverick via rear naked choke. That was 2 years ago. So, yeah, Lara definitely the more active of the two. Let's see. Lara has the youth on her side, 27 years to 36 for Bennett. She'll be the taller fighter as well, 5'7", 169 centimeters to 5'4", 163 centimeters for Bennett. And then the reach advantage goes to Lara as well, 69 inches, 175 centimeters to 66 inches, 168 centimeters for Vitamin D Bennett. So here's my thoughts on this fight. These two fighters tend to do really well until they start making big mistakes. They both tend to derp very hard in fights. So this really comes down to who derps last, who derps worst. Whoever derps, last will win it. I think it's going to end up being Alejandra Lara. Deanna Bennett, I like her. She's very funny. She's one of the true genuine personalities in MMA. But man, she just tends to choke in important fights. And being that she's on a 2-fight skid and a loss here could send her back down to Invicta, I don't necessarily trust her to not choke in this one. Now, Lara tends to just absolutely brain fart in fights. For example, she kept brain farting her way into the clinch against Kana Watanabe when she was beating her at range. But I like what I hear from her in the lead up to this fight more than what I like what I hear from Bennett. Also, man, I saw the promo pictures for this fight. Lara is looking yoked. She's looking swole for this one. So she's working on her strength and everything. So I'm going to go with Alejandra Lara to win, probably by decision. So then we move over to the UFC. One second here. Emily Wittmeyer taking on Hannah Goldie in a flyweight bout. According to Topology, it's a flyweight. I could have sworn this was a strawweight bout, but guess they're fighting at flyweight. Let's see. Wittmeyer coming in at 4-4. Goldie coming in at 5-2. Both ladies coming in off of 2 straight losses. Wittmeyer to Poliana Viana. Goldie to Diana Belbida. Let's see. Wittmeyer is the elder by 1 year, 30 years to 29 years for Goldie. Wittmeyer slightly taller, 5'5", 165 centimeters to 5'4", 163 centimeters for Goldie. Wittmeyer also has a 2-inch reach advantage, 63 inches, 160 centimeters to Goldie, 61 inches, 155 centimeters. I'll be honest, trying to figure out who wins this fight, I'd rather try to pound a nail into a board with my forehead. So you have like a freaking physical specimen here in Goldie versus someone who actually has some skills, but nowhere near the physicality in Wittmeyer. And it just depends on who can cancel who out more. I mean, I'm looking at who they fought, who they've beaten. I mean, Wittmeyer beat Alexandra Albu, and Albu is one of those fighters who is basically the same as Hannah Goldie. Comes in with a lot of muscle, but not much to show for it. So I guess I'll go with Emily Wittmeyer. Yeah, we'll go with Wittmeyer to win this one. That's just a guess, though. I don't trust either fighter. If I were a gambling man, there's no way I'd bet on this fight. No way I would bet on this fight. Because I don't trust either of them. They move to another ladies flyweight bout. Erin Blanchfield making her UFC debut, taking on Sarah Alpar, who is making her flyweight debut. Let's see, cold-blooded coming in at 6-1. Too Sweet Alpar coming in at 9-5. Now, Blanchfield is riding 3 straight wins over Gabriella Golfin, Victoria Leonardo, when she showed off her knockout power on the feet, and then over Brogan Sanchez, most recently a year ago. Alpar's coming off a loss to Jessica Rose Clark 10 months ago at bantamweight. Before that, she's riding 2 straight wins over Jocelyn Edwards, which is a nice win at bantamweight, and then Shanna Young, who's also a UFC fighter. So let's see. Blanchfield is the younger fighter by 8 years, 22, to Alpar's 30 years. They stand the same height, 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters. But man, the reach difference here, 68 inches, 173 centimeters for Blanchfield to Alpar's 63 inches, 160 centimeters. I'm going with Blanchfield on this one. She has shown a lot of promise here. And I've been hyped on her for ever since she knocked out Victoria Leonardo. She showed that she can come in with a more complete game. Like, she started off, she was basically just a wrestler / BJJ fighter, and showed a lot of promise then. But since then, her striking has come a long way, and she has shown a lot of promise. Alpar reminds me a lot of PVZ in that she just has like unrelenting aggression, and she's constantly moving forward. And mostly her game plan consists of getting the fight to the cage and fighting for takedowns against the cage. We'll have to see if what Blanchfield can do against that. But my pick is going to be Erin Blanchfield. She's just shown a lot more promise to me than Alpar has, with a lot more fights. I mean, 7 fights to 14. Yeah, Alpar has double the fights, but like 4 times the amount of losses. And then I just don't. Yeah, I'm going with Blanchfield to win this one. Cedric C in the chat says, about time we're getting multiple women's fights. Yeah, we're actually getting 4. And, cross your fingers, knock on some wood. They'll actually all go down. Usually, anytime the UFC books like more than 3 ladies bouts on a single event, one of them ends up dropping out. Usually 2. It's just a curse that way. But we are getting 4 ladies bouts in UFC this weekend. So moving along, we're going up to bantamweight for Pannie Kianzad taking on Raquel Pennington in a pretty pivotal bantamweight bout here. Banzai Pannie Kianzad coming in at 15-5. Rocky coming in at 11-8. Now, Kianzad is riding a 4-fight winning streak into this one. Starting a year and 9 months ago, she beat Jessica Rose Clark, and then Betch Correia, then Sajara Eubanks, which was a really nice win, and then Alexis Davis just under 3 months ago. So she's really starting to put it together now in the UFC, is Pannie Kianzad. Whereas Rocky Pennington, man, she's like win, loss, win in her last 3. Beating Renee Aldana 2 years ago. Then lost to Holly Holm in a rematch a year and a half ago. And then like just a year and 2 months ago, she defeated Marion Renaud via unanimous decision. Which, let's admit it here, beating Renaud is a solid win. It's not like a top win, but it's never an easy win. So it is a good win for her. She hasn't fought since then. She apparently suffers from hyperthyroidism, got prescribed some kind of hormone, turned herself into USADA, and they suspended her for a little while. So that's why we haven't seen her in over a year. But, you know, she was prescribed it, reported it right away, and served her suspension. So she's back. Let's see. Kianzad, a little bit younger, 29 years to 33 for Rocky. They both stand the same height, 5'7", 170 centimeters. Looks like Rocky has just slight reach advantage. 67.5 inches, 171 centimeters to Kianzad, 66 inches, 168 centimeters. The brother man's in the house says, "What's up?" My pick for this one is going to be Rocky Pennington. Kianzad is starting to put it together very nicely, but you know, you look at who each fighter has fought, who they're winning against versus who they're losing to, and you know, Raquel Pennington only loses to like actual top fighters in this division, like legit top fighters. Kianzad's last loss was to Julia Avila, who promising prospect, but still not like completely proven. Whereas Pennington, you look at her last 5 fights, she lost to Amanda Nunes. That was no surprise there. Lost to GDR. No shame in that one. Beating Renee Aldana, which I'll tell you what, that single win right there 2 years ago is much better than any of Kianzad's recent wins. Then Pennington lost to Holly Holm via decision, and everyone gets decision by Holly Holm. And then beat Marion Renaud, who Renaud is about on the level of most of Kianzad's recent wins. I just trust Raquel Pennington to be more reliable. She only loses, like I said, to really good fighters. Also, Kianzad is just very predictable, especially in the striking, mostly just throws the same combination over and over again. Whereas Pennington, a little more varied. So I'm going to go with Raquel Pennington to win this one. Right. All right, so then we move back down to ladies flyweight on the main card. This is the only main card bout, and I think we know why it's on the main card, because of the most attractive fighter on this card in Lipski. But we have Mandy Bohm taking on Ariane Lipski. Monster coming in at 7-0, undefeated, but making her UFC debut, whereas the Queen of Violence is coming in at 13-7. And she's coming off of 2 straight losses to Antonina Shevchenko, and then Montana De La Rosa 2 months ago. Bohm last fought 11 months ago in Bellator, her lone Bellator bout, defeated Greet Eckhout via decision. Let's see. Bohm is the older fighter, 32 years to 27. For Lipski, both are the same height, 5 feet 6 inches, 168 centimeters. However, Bohm has a 3-inch or 8 centimeter reach advantage, 70 inches, 178 centimeters to 67 inches, 170 centimeters for Lipski. Bohm is more of the unknown. There's more unknown factors with Mandy Bohm. But from what I've seen, she puts stuff together really well, fairly well for her experience level. And that's why I'm going with her. Like, she's a much cleaner fighter than Lipski is. Whereas Lipski is very chaotic. She might start winning, like, on the feet. She'll land some good punches, and then she'll, like, freeze up a little bit because she's too worried about, overextending herself or, losing control. And then she tends to freeze up a little bit. And on the ground, she's just an absolute mess. Whereas Bohm has some decent wrestling, which is more than you can really say about Ariane Lipski. So I'm going with Mandy Bohm to win this one. So that is it for this weekend's fights that I wanted to cover. So next up, I wanted to move into and talk about this one. There's a recent article, or in a recent interview, Valentina Shevchenko talked about I believe she was talking to Ariel Helwani. Talked about how boxing, if she's not going to chase women's boxers the way that the men fighters are chasing men's boxing. Let me go ahead and read this from MMAfighting.com. It says, count UFC flyweight Valentina Shevchenko as one MMA fighter with no desire to cross over for a big payday in boxing. Ever since Conor McGregor booked a boxing match against Floyd Mayweather in 2017, there have been scores of fighters seeking to do the same thing. For some, it's just about the competition. For others, it's all about the money. But over the past 6 months, UFC veterans such as Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort, Tyron Woodley, and Ben Askren have all taken professional boxing matches. Numerous others have shown interest in boxing, but Shevchenko explains she's already been there and done that and doesn't have a desire to do it again. I don't see a reason why I have to do it, Shevchenko said during an experience on the MMA Hour. I have like 12 professional boxing fights, and I did it. I know exactly what it feels like. High-profile bouts involving MMA fighters have most recently swirled around matchups, blah, blah, blah. Returning to boxing would mean Shevchenko has to give up more of her weapons to only throw hands in a fight, and that doesn't really appeal to her much. Quote, for me being UFC champion, fighting in mixed martial arts, the universal style, when a technique is everything, she said. It's like you actually know all kinds of martial arts. You are a perfect boxer. You are a perfect Muay Thai fighter, kickboxer. You are a perfect grappler, wrestler. You are everything in martial arts. It's kind of like going to boxing. You can. Why not? But for me, it's a little bit of a downgrade. Okay, so I agree that for Valentina, this is a downgrade. But I think she's kind of like bullshitting a little bit for her reasons why. For skills, okay, we'll get into skills in a second. This would be a downgrade for her money-wise because there is basically no money in women's boxing. If there was, Amanda Serrano and especially Claressa Shields would not be making inroads into mixed martial arts. But they are because they're looking for higher paydays. Especially Claressa Shields straight up said she's looking for higher paydays. So the real downgrade here for Valentina Shevchenko is that, yes, this would be a downgrade in status and money. I disagree that it would be like a been there, done that, and a downgrade in skills for her. Okay, because first of all, she said she has 12 professional boxing fights. If you go onto BoxRec, which basically lists every boxer's record, she only has 2 fights. So if she has more than 2 pro boxing bouts, or if she has 12, then she has 10 that were so off the radar, even BoxRec doesn't have them. And I checked her two fights. They were against nobodies. The one girl retired after fighting Valentina Shevchenko. It was like 2 straight losses for her, and she retired. Also, the idea that in mixed martial arts you are a perfect boxer, you are a perfect Muay Thai fighter, kickboxer, you are a perfect grappler, wrestler, that's simply not true either. You don't have to be perfect in anything in mixed martial arts. And I realize this is going to trigger people saying this. You are not required to be perfect in anything in mixed martial arts. MMA is a jack of all trades type of sport. Now, you have fighters that are, more specialized in one area. Like you might have, like say Anderson Silva was excellent Muay Thai fighter. Not so great on the ground. Yes, he was a BJJ black belt and did submit some good fighters, but he was far more known for his striking than his grappling. Or you might be a Tito Ortiz type fighter who was primarily a wrestler but got by for years with subpar striking. Or you could be Chuck Liddell, who knocked out Tito Ortiz twice, got by mostly being a striker, rarely ever used his grappling. The most he used his wrestling was to stop takedowns. Or you could be Mirko Krokop, who had, again, primarily a striker, a kickboxer, without much of a ground game. Mostly his ground game consisted of stopping the takedown or, getting back off the ground immediately if taken down. Or you could be like, in the women's department, you could be Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Underrated grappling, yes, but primarily a striker. Or you could be Amanda Nunes. Her striking is far from perfect. It's great, and she has power. Her wrestling is good, but not great, far from perfect. Or you could be I think that's enough examples. Look, to say that MMA requires you to be perfect in everything, that's just no. It really does not. And I realize that's probably going to trigger some people, but it's true. Because you have a lot of fighters out there who are well-rounded, but aren't particularly great at anything. I mean, there's so many MMA fighters that are, really well-rounded, but to be great at anything, they're just not. Like, they're good at this, they're good at this, they're good at this, but they're not great at anything. And you can get away with that in mixed martial arts because you have to vary your skill set so much. Whereas, like, in any particular martial arts, to be at the top, you have to be phenomenal at it. If you want to fight, here's a great example. Stamp Fairtex tried to be a kickboxer, a Muay Thai fighter, and a mixed martial artist. And then within 1 year span, because she spread herself so thin, she lost her Muay Thai title, she lost her kickboxing title, and then she lost her MMA bout for the first time. You don't have to be, perfect in anything to be an MMA fighter. But to be really good at like singular martial arts disciplines, yeah, you have to be perfect if you're going to be a champion, or darn near perfect. That's why I think to say a boxing would be a downgrade for Valentina, not skills wise, it's just that it would have to require her to spend so much time boxing that it would atrophy all of her other skills, because it takes years to master boxing, to get at a level of, like, say, Amanda Serrano, who I pictured, or Katie Taylor. It takes years to get to that particular skill level. Whereas Valentina is not a boxer. She's primarily a Muay Thai fighter and a judoka. She's not an actual boxer, though. So to get to the top level in boxing takes years of work. So for her to say it's a downgrade, she might have to downgrade her other skills, but she'd have to seriously upgrade just her boxing skills. I thought it was kind of silly of her to say that. And I think it was just an excuse to not have to say, oh, well, it'd be a serious downgrade in money. Because it would be. There's only one money fight that would be for her in boxing. At, I believe, lightweight, 135 pounds in boxing, she could take on Katie Taylor. There might be some money in that one. Because Katie Taylor gets like $1 billion paydays, I think. But for Valentina, she's making more money in MMA than she would in boxing outside of either a Katie Taylor or Amanda Serrano fight. She just would not be making good money in boxing. And that's, if there's a downgrade for her going to boxing, it would be in that. It would be in the money and prestige, because she might be an MMA champion, but she's a nobody in boxing. I just thought that was a very interesting statement to make. I especially disagreed with the whole idea that, oh, you got to be perfect Muay Thai fighter, a perfect kickboxer, a perfect grappler in MMA. We've seen it so often that you don't have to be perfect in anything in MMA. I mean, how many great champions in MMA are far from perfect in anything? All of them. All of them. That just really irked me to act like that. And then you have like a lot of really sensitive MMA fans who are very insecure about boxing, and they're all like, oh, it would be a downgrade for her skill-wise. No, it just amazes me how many MMA fans don't respect boxing at all. Whereas I used to be that way a little bit. When I was younger, I was a boxing fan. Then I got into MMA. Really didn't like boxing too much. And then in the past several, like 3 years maybe, I've really gotten back into boxing and have really come to understand and respect, just what it takes to be a top level boxer and how hard you have to work at it and just how difficult it is. Because, a lot of MMA fighters will be like, boxing's so limited, it's one-dimensional. First off, there is nothing one-dimensional about being a good boxer. Okay? Is it a limited fight? Yes. But it takes a lot of work to fight within those limits at a very high level. There are a lot of punches in MMA that you would get away with that you do not in boxing. So your technique has to be cleaner. You got to be sharper. And, with boxing, you got to focus. You got to really clean up your punching. But also you got to master your style. Like, are you going to be a pure boxer? Are you going to be a pressure fighter? Or are you going to be a boxer puncher who has the ability of a pure boxer, but also has the knockout power? Like a good example of a boxer puncher would be Tyson Fury in his second bout against Deontay Wilder. Or, well, like I have her pictured, Amanda Serrano is a really good boxer puncher. She has the skills of a pure boxer, but she also has the knockout power. And to me, that's my favorite style, is the boxer puncher. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this subject. I thought it was an interesting one and thought it would be worth talking about. But let me know your thoughts in the chat. Brotherman says Pennington is too good. Yeah, I think she's just one step above Pannie Kianzad. Also, please, if you are watching live, don't forget to hit that like button, because that really helps make others aware of the stream. Makeup. Okay, we got 5 people in there. We got 4 likes. That's not bad. But does anybody else have anything to add? Otherwise, I'm going to call it a night, because I came home, I ate dinner, and I passed out for like 2 straight hours, which I didn't plan on doing, and I didn't get anything done, and it's almost 11 o'clock, so got stuff to do. Brotherman says, are you watch any potential female bantamweight featherweight fighters this weekend to watch? Bantamweight featherweight fighters. Not that I know of. Other than, Pennington versus Kianzad. That's the only bantamweight bout, and I haven't seen any featherweight bouts to watch. But so no, I haven't seen. No, this is the only bantamweight fight, I think, really. Okay. All right, so short stream. Sorry about that. Like I said, I came home and I passed out and didn't get a lot of stuff done tonight, so I got to cut this stream short and get going and do some stuff. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're watching on replay, don't forget to hit that like button as well. And don't forget to subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Hey, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.